Sure is pretty out here. It's not like BC, but it's reminiscent. Funny, it's so reminiscent. It's like whoever's doing all the engineering and designing of these towns and villages, they're not original. It's like a copy of a little bit of everything. But it sure is pretty. You know, in my videos, I try to show you evidence for what I've read about Canadian history, colonization, and immigration in Canada. I'm trying to show you the differences between the different ethnic groups and the so-called races of people. It's classism, really. You got your low-class white folk. You got your high-class white folk. And John Porter was one of the first ones to talk about that. The difference between high-class English and high-class Canadian Francais. And I've been thinking about Métis identity, because I haven't seen anything that looks remotely Métis anywhere out east. And I've been as far as New Brunswick, eastern Quebec, Labrador. I didn't go as far as Newfoundland. But if there's Métis out east here in Canada, why didn't John A. Macdonald send Middleton to come and clean out the Métis from the east? Instead, he went and cleaned out all the Métis from the west, from where the forts are, the homeland of the Métis people. It seems kind of stupid to say you're Métis if you're living out in the East Coast, Maritimes. You go. You go. Go. No, John A. Macdonald was not concerned with anybody out east. Any so-called half-breeds. Because there were none. General Middleton didn't go east. Wolseley didn't go east. Middleton and Wolseley went west to Red River. To me, that says it all. find no Metis out east. Haven't even seen anything that even remotely looks Metis. They call these the Laurentian Mountains. These mountains are very ancient. You can stop there for a $10 smoke home if you want. Jesus saves, but he doesn't save Aboriginal babies from dying. Jesus can't save Aboriginal people from dying at the hands of Christians. All kinds of Christians too. That's what that sign says. It says Jesus saves. But we know from the burial grounds that we're finding all over Canada, wherever there was an Indian residential school run by Christians, Jesus didn't save any one of those kids, and didn't even save the survivors who lived with the trauma for generations. Jesus didn't save them. Even Jesus would admit it. If Jesus could. If Jesus could admit it. Jesus would admit that. Even God would admit that. Jesus did nothing to save those children. Nothing. Nothing to save the survivors or to help them or to heal them. Jesus didn't save anything. That's what comes to mind when people say to me, God bless you. Well, I'm in my working truck, so I can't tell them to fuck off. They'll just phone my boss and say, you got a pretty rude class 1 operator here. But you know what? I find it quite offensive for you to say, God bless you to me. After what God's done to me personally, after the shit that I've had to survive because of what Jesus and God did, I find it rather offensive. Fuck you, God bless you. God bless yourself. I'm not allowed to say nothing. I can't say fuck you, though I'd like to. blessed the English people and the French people. That's Anglican and Catholics. God kind of blessed the Eastern Orthodox Church people. That's Polish and Ukrainian and Russians. It's not the same God, but God bless the Muslims that are here in Canada. But God hasn't blessed or saved any Aboriginal people anywhere in Canada. Nope. You want to be pro-life, but you don't want to be pro-Aboriginal. That's what I think when I see those signs about not having an abortion. That's what I think when someone says to me, God bless you. It was an Aboriginal person that said, God bless you to me today. Or no, that was yesterday. And it's a double insult when an Aboriginal person says, God bless you to me. Because I wonder if that person hasn't been keeping up with current affairs. How ignorant are you to say God bless you to me with all these burial grounds they're finding with babies in them? Children. Take a look around. You got nieces and nephews, you got sons and daughters, you got grandchildren that are 3 years old, 12 years old. You know, it's a shame when someone is killed, even by an accident or natural causes, at the age of 20. It's a shame. But to deliberately kill and abuse and traumatize and terrorize and horrify small children in school, that's a special kind of evil. Sure is pretty here, isn't it? Got those ferns growing over there. Saw a little frog trying to run across the road. I don't think it made it. I avoided it, but the cars didn't see it. What's behind me? What's a Metis? You're probably wondering, what is a Metis? It's a long story. I'll tell you one time. I might have already told you in another one of my videos. Well, I sure hope you can hear me. I'm talking pretty loud in the truck here. You know, there's a very sacred place in Winnipeg. It's held sacred by all the First Nations right across North America. We didn't always call it North America. They called it Turtle Island a long time ago, before the colonizers came here. And it's called the Forks today. That's what the English people call it, the Forks. But Aboriginal people have been using it for time since immemorial, long before memory, as a meeting place to gather, for all the nations to come together and gather and to powwow and to have ceremony and marriages and feastings. They call it the Forks. And I'm told by my good friend that the distance between the Maritimes and Winnipeg and the West Coast and Winnipeg are the same. To which I replied to my good friend, isn't that amazing that Aboriginal people knew that since time immemorial, that it's the center of North America, the very center of Turtle Island. And you know what's there now? Business and commerce, capitalism, and the white man from town. They own the land now. They barely acknowledge that it was a traditional meeting place, sacred land, and major significant place for all the nations before the colonizers arrived. They hardly even mention it. The capitalists that are there. You can look it up on the internet. There's a corporate committee there. Almost none of them are Aboriginal, and the ones that are bought and paid for Indians, figureheads, bought and paid for. They got no shame, those ones. They're happy to take the money. They're happy to take the money of the colonizers, capitalists, the corporate businessmen who stole the forks and turned it into their own place of business. They're not even doing a good job of it either. They're useless, visionless men with no vision other than making a profit. And they'll run that forks into a shithole in the ground. And then they'll sell it for a profit once they're done. And then somebody else will come along. And that's what they'll do to the forks, to the traditional meeting place, the sacred land, at the very center, the exact center of Turtle Island, North America. There's no Metis out here in the East. There was no Metis wars out here in the